Now, our next speaker is coming up to talk about something a little bit more serious. But he is, of course, the head SME Group Business and Transaction Banking of RHB. So let's give Mr. Jeffrey Ng Yao Cho a big warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Jeffrey Ng.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Ayo, PanPages, you put me after Ruben, susah, man. Right? So after such a cool and exciting presentation, you need a banker to bring you back down to earth again, unfortunately. So when I first got an invite to come and speak on PanPages Digital SME Day, I was thinking, you're asking a banker to come and talk about technology. We aren't exactly known as innovators, right? But after pausing for another second, really, technology affects all of us, no matter what kind of businesses that we do, right? It changes the way we live our lives. It changes the way we do our business. So when I was going through Facebook one day, right, I saw a photo a picture that pretty much sums up the whole thing. It's not moving. Okay, that's it. So I'm sure some of you all would have seen this picture before. Poor old Smarty Pants smartphone is being surrounded by his old colleagues, I would say, right? All waiting to beat him up. But generally, that is where we are right now, and we all have to move along with technology, know the changes in the trends around us. And we have to pretty much adapt our businesses to those trends to actually remain relevant in this world today, including bankers, yeah. My fellow distinguished speakers are from a lot of technology companies that if banks don't innovate along the way, they will probably also eat our lunch as we move on in life and business. So let's look at the way we do payments today. A large portion of our transactions in Malaysia is still very cash or check-based, right? And it used to be a lot more cooler when you had a whole stack of cash that you carried around. Many years ago, probably more than 10 years ago or 20 years ago, money clips in your wallet used to be an in thing, you know, where you have a stack of cash stuck into it. But today, the thickness of your wallet don't signify how wealthy you are anymore. We have moved into a new economy where plastic is the name of the game, right? Credit cards, debit cards, prepaid cards, right? Where the darker the color of your card is and the thinner your wallet is, probably signifies you're probably more wealthy than some people, right? But that's the way the world is changing. We are also moving to a world whereby money exchanges hands not physically, but also through the internet. Now it's no more an excuse that after dinner, you tell your friends, "Ayo, I didn't bring my wallet, I can't pay you my share of the dinner." Your friends will tell you, "Give me your account, I'll give you my account number, you transfer your share to me," right? So that's how things are changing. And in the near future, we will be waiving our cards and our mobile phones on contactless terminals for payments. So what's really happening in the world? Is this trend really taking place all around the world? When you really look at the statistics, definitely on a year-to-year basis, the non-cash transactions are increasing. But more importantly to note is that in the mature economies, it has kind of plateaued. But in the most recent years, you would find that the emerging economies, Asia, MESA, Middle East, Africa, and Latin America, there are double-digit growth in non-cash transactions. So cards is something that you cannot ignore. The chart below illustrates what we said earlier. Cards is on the rise. Transactions via internet is on the rise. But traditional checks, for example, if you look at that line, is actually coming down and down. So that is the trend that is happening in the world, and it will reach our shores in time to come. Oh dear. It's not moving. Okay. What other things are happening in the world? E-commerce, I'll leave it to my distinguished speakers to talk about this, but it is something that we cannot ignore, a very rapid growing area of business which all of us must be in. Mobile banking. The acceptance for doing banking through the phone is growing at a very tremendous pace, and that is actually changing the face of retail banking today. What about here in Malaysia? Is all of this really relevant to us, or we are really still behind, and really these trends not applicable to Malaysia or maybe even ASEAN too? If you can see from Bank Negara statistics, right, that definitely the number of internet and mobile banking users are increasing in Malaysia very rapidly. So consumers themselves are really moving into e-payment. And any bank today that doesn't offer a decent internet or mobile banking platform, it is unlikely to win any significant market share, right? And if you really look at cards payments in Malaysia, there are several things to note here that actually affects your businesses as an SME. One, if you really look at debit and credit cards is actually stagnating, but debit cards is actually increasing. The volumes of cards transaction is increasing rapidly, but you need to know that the transactions that are happening using through debit cards is increasing more rapidly than that of credit cards today. So how does that really affect you as a business? If you were a retailer today, would you be interested to tap on the market that is a lot larger or smaller? So you should think about that when you come out with your merchant promotions. Not necessarily all your promotions must be on a credit card basis. You should be thinking whether you should do your promotions for debit card users instead. There are also other reasons why perhaps you should think about doing more on debit cards, which I will highlight later. This chart basically shows how our lives will very likely change in the years to come, which is just 5 years. This is something that comes up from Bank Negara. Today we have about 200 over 1,000 point of sale terminals all around Malaysia. We intend to move this up to 800,000 by year 2020, which is just five years or so down the road, right? So what does that mean for all of us? It means that very likely next time when you go to a mamak store to eat, right, you might be paying using a plastic rather than anything else. So that is where we are heading, and that is where we should also think about how we need to tailor our businesses. Because if you are in retail today, you need to get ready for this trend. The trend of moving into a cashless environment, the trend of the adoption of mobile, the smartphones and all, it will change the way you do your businesses. So are SMEs ready for change? We're going to talk about 3 areas that we think you should give a thought about your business. Number 1 is how you do collections. Are you still you need to keep cold hard cash? Or are you open to receiving your payments through an e-payment platform? You should think about the operational risk involved in handling cash. How many times you got robbed? Your sales guy got robbed. How many times the guy comes in and ransacks your shop, right? All these are costs of handling your traditional instruments today. The other area that you should look at is actually point of sale, which we think that a lot of SMEs don't really give much thought to an SME. Is the point of sale today in your business just merely to record sales? Are you using it for anything else besides that? Are you extracting out any information to be used in your business? These are some of the points. The third thing is basically payments. Today, a lot of businesses are still adamant in issuing checks for payments to suppliers for various reasons. But there must be a consideration given to should you migrate this to an internet banking platform. For one of the reasons is that it will lower your costs as we move along. Okay, so in terms of your collection methods, obviously a lot of people are on cash today, right? Even your simple standard traditional merchant terminal is going to change in the months to come. A lot of it will move into what you call mobile POS, especially by next year, because we're going to have a chip and PIN by 2017. So a lot of banks is going to roll out the new technology by next year. If you are running a wholesale business today, are you still putting 100 of your salespeople in vans going outside there and collecting cash and getting robbed or stolen from time to time? Perhaps you should put your 100 over salespeople, equip them with a mobile POS, and get them to go around and then collecting cash, collecting payments via your cards. That's something you should be thinking about. Should it be a standard terminal or should it be a contactless terminal as you move along in your business? It's something that you also need to consider if your volumes are high. The POS, we spoke about the POS today. Today, a lot of POS is just used merely as a sales cash register. But in reality, a lot of information can be obtained from your POS. The high-end retailers still spends a lot of money investing in POS so that they can actually get a lot of back-end analytics about customer behavior, buying behaviors. SMEs used to not care about this because the cost is very expensive. Today, there are cloud-based solutions outside there that have lowered this cost significantly, where you only pay per use on a monthly basis. That gives you information to a lot of things. Real-time information of sales in your shop. It's also on the go, meaning that if you were on holiday, you still know what is happening in your shop real-time, how much sales is being done. It gives you customer relationship management models, stock management, and even inventory management so that you can actually know when to stock up on something, right? The third thing you should consider is basically internet banking. We need to move away from a traditional mindset that we have to issue checks because checks is getting very expensive. A lot of you all already know you are already paying 50 cents per check that you issue. This cost is going to increase even further in years to come. We are going to talk about the landscape in a bit. But I think businesses should actually consider migrating it to an internet banking platform. A lot of businesses do not want to do this because of the fear of fraud. But really, the system fraud risk is actually very low. But the operational fraud risk is something that people do not realize, meaning that you need to be in control of some of the tokens and the controls that the banks have given you. You must keep it within yourself if you're the authorizer. Oops. Okay, so this is basically the payment development landscape in Malaysia. The Central Bank of Malaysia is really driving the whole Malaysian economy into a e-economy, or basically we are going to move towards a cashless society. Last year, in May 13, not last year, the banks are only charging 10 cents per IBG if you're actually doing a transfer via the internet. And then most recently, Bank Negara has started to impose the cost of check processing at 50 cents per piece. By the way, the bank doesn't earn that money, just to make it clear. But what they have also done is that the central bank has actually lowered the cost of using your cards. If you are not, did not know, as of 1st of July, the interchange fees for debit and credit card has dropped significantly. So debit card today, you should be paying in the range of about 0.3, maybe some banks might charge you 0.5 per transaction. And your credit card should be in the range of about 0.6 or so, right? So if you're paying much more than that, you guys can come and see me, right? And this thing will continue to evolve. Bank Negara is going to make sure that we move into a chip and PIN environment by 2017. And all the debit cards that all of us carry is going to be equipped with a wave technology to allow contactless transactions. And because of all of these things, Bank Negara is going to phase out checks even more, reducing the volumes today by about half by year 2020. So why embrace digital technology among SMEs, right? A lot of people don't seem to think much about what technology can really do for you. But in reality, if you really invest and link up your whole operational system within your businesses, really at the end of the day, it will enhance your productivity and in the long run will definitely lower your cost of doing business. So for us in RHB, what we have done recently is to help out the common SME on the streets. We've launched a product called SME e-retail solution. So what a common retailer can do when they start off a business is that they can walk into our bank, open up a normal current account like any other business. But what we do is that we ensure that immediately you get, number one, internet banking for usage. Number two, you can even purchase a POS there at the branch, a point of sale. If you actually do not have a preferred one, we have linked up with our technology partner to offer cloud-based POS solutions that you can actually apply for at the branch itself. We will ensure that your business comes with a merchant terminal, right? Whether it be a traditional one, wireless one, or mobile POS, as we move along, it's really up to your stage of business at that point in time. A business credit card for those that qualify, so you can even have an easy installment plan for your hardware, and an insurance that is tailor-made for your retail. So we try to make it easy for the customer to actually adopt a mix of technology and banking. The whole reason why we are doing this is because we are trying to encourage the common SME to really link up their whole business. And it can be linked up. Today, the question you should be asking yourself is that, is your POS linked to your accounting system? A very simple thing, right? Today, a lot of your POS can actually upload information directly into your accounting system, and it's already then all captured. But unfortunately, a lot of people are doing it manually today. Is your finance guy uploading all your accounting payments, for example, into your internet banking platform that allows you to do almost auto immediate payment for your suppliers? It can also be linked up. Is your mobile, say your mobile POS that you have, or your merchant terminal, is the information linked to your POS so that you can capture it, capture the information for every transaction and then upload it back into the accounting system of yours? So you can clearly see that there's a cycle, or there can be a link for the whole business ecosystem to make it a lot more efficient. If we invest in this, you will be able to lower your cost of doing business in the longer run of things. So finally, SMEs definitely will be pushed to embrace change in Malaysia because of things that are happening in the market. The consumers themselves will demand it. When consumers start moving into a cashless environment, you got no choice but to also adopt the different technologies. The innovation by providers, banks, technology companies, we continue to innovate what we offer to expand the choices for the SMEs. Regulation, whether we like it or not, central bank is pushing towards a cashless society, and that will affect all your businesses. Technology evolution, and of course, like what I said earlier on, operational efficiency. By adopting technology, it will definitely make your business a lot more efficient and therefore much lower cost as you all move along. All right, thank you very much. That's all I have to share today.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey.